There are many big tech companies that present a cause for concern, but one in particular is Palantir, because they hold government contracts that are worth more than 900 million, spanning 10 departments. And does the honourable member agree with me that perhaps more concerning than its dominance is what he actually points to, is that we don't actually know what data they hold and have access to? And when numerous groups warn that patient data within the NHS Federated Data Platform could be accessible to US authorities under the American Cloud Act, does he agree that government must exercise the February 2027 break clause until those questions are properly and publicly answered?
The Honourable Lady raises an important point again, and I'm not going to name individual companies today. She's clearly put her own views on the record, but I do think that any monopoly, whether it be public sector monopoly or private sector monopoly, is not good for all of our constituents and consumers, or indeed for small and medium-sized businesses. So she makes her case well.
Now, as I pointed to earlier, a growing number of voices from doctors and nurses to civil society organisations to members across this House are sounding the alarm about the unchecked expansion of one company, Palantir Technologies. The concern seems to centre around two issues. Now, the first is the sheer scale of Palantir's involvement in our public infrastructure, holding at least 34 current and past government contracts across at least 10 departments, totalling a minimum of £900 million. The true figure is likely higher, since several contracts remain unacknowledged or heavily redacted. Their largest single contract is the NHS Federated Data Platform, £330 million over 7 years. My inbox has been rammed with constituents calling for the government to trigger Palantir's February 2027 break clause, and I support that call, and I hope the Minister will say whether the government... I will do.
I had no idea it was that many for that particular company, and it sort of underscores some of the points that I'm making. And I just thought of certain service companies, which I won't mention today, who have multiple contracts. Some of them deliver well, some have been a complete disaster under successive governments. I think of some of the IT companies, global IT companies, not tech, the sort of the old traditional hardware companies. Again, some of those programs deliver very well. Some have been a complete disaster. So many contracts in the hands of so few is very concerning.
I thank the honourable member, and that's why I was so pleased that the honourable member called this debate. And actually, I hope that he agrees with me that once a contractor has failed for another department, they shouldn't be given a contract for one of our other government departments. And I hope that's something that the Minister will speak to as well. So I want to continue by talking about this huge support I have for my constituents' call to break, to insert that break clause, the February 2027 break clause with Palantir. And I hope the Minister will tell us more about whether or not they intend to act on that. Now, some will say that Palantir's expanding portfolio simply proves they're the best company for the job. That may be true in some places, I doubt it, but it's not a reason to dismiss concerns. We should be worried about one company holding this much dominance across so many pillars of our society, particularly a foreign corporation that may not have the UK's best interests at heart. And I say that with confidence. Palantir's founder, Peter Thiel, has accused us of having Stockholm syndrome over our affection for the NHS and said it needed ripping from the ground and starting over. His broader political views are just as concerning, and I'd encourage members to look into them. The current CEO of Palantir UK is Oswald Mosley's grandson, and I don't wish to judge a man solely by his grandfather's sins, but that task gets harder when the views on display are not entirely dissimilar. Nor can we ignore Peter Mandelson's role in arranging the Prime Minister's undeclared 2025 visit to Palantir's headquarters, a meeting with no minutes taken, which has raised transparency questions still unanswered. The second concern is data. Palantir built its reputation as a surveillance and intelligence tool for the US military. It is not a healthcare company. It is a data aggregation company whose software is designed to link data sets across systems. This is no longer a hypothetical risk. NHS England has now confirmed that Palantir staff can access identifiable patient data within the Federated Data Platform through a new admin role on the National Data Integration Tenant. The BMA, MedAct, the Good Law Project, Privacy International and Amnesty International have all warned that this data could become accessible to other departments or to US authorities under the American Cloud Act, regardless of what any contract says. Around 50,000 patients have written to their NHS trust boards urging them not to adopt the platform. I'm not suggesting that every Palantir contract should be cancelled tomorrow, but we are sleepwalking into a dependency on this company that we will come to deeply regret.